What is up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Calvin Corelli. I've helped coaches make over $645 million last time I checked with my software Simplero and the coaching that I do. And I wanted to share with you, if I was starting a coaching business in 2025, here's what I would do. And literally, this is what I'm doing with my coaching business in 2025. I divide this stuff up into three distinct parts. There's attract, which is where we attract leads. And then there's enroll, where we enroll them into our programs, our containers. And then there's transform, where we deliver the transformation that people sign up for. And there's like a natural flow between the three of them. Let me add my video here to the corner so you can still see my pretty face down there. All right, so in the attract arena, here's what I would do with you. First is the avatar. I'm gonna draw a person like this. This is your avatar, or I call it the dream client, actually. And the thing with the dream client is we want to be clear. And before you shut off the video right now, I know that everybody talks about your avatar, your dream client, but it is important to be clear on who you're for, and it impacts everything in your business, right? If you're picking the right who, the right avatar, the wrong who, then your business is just not going to work. One of the mistakes that I see a lot of coaches make is that they choose a type of client that just doesn't have the money to pay. And so that's not a good way to create a business. And I get the desire to help people who are struggling and who might not have a lot of money, but there's no business for you there. It's much better to choose an avatar that actually has money to pay and values what you offer and is willing to pay, and then use all that time and money and resources to help the people that you want to help pro bono. One of my favorite sayings is the best thing you can do for poor people is to not be one of them. Learn how to make a truck ton of money yourself and do good with that money and the time that it buys you, because money buys time, right? Money buys you the ability to delegate tasks to other people, whether it's your team or an assistant or a house manager or whatever it is, cleaning person. It enables you to buy back your time so that you have more time to do more high value stuff, or things that are beneficial to others, like giving back, etc. Let me just put here, dream client, upgrade. So typically there are people who have more time and less money, and there are people who have more money and less time. And typically it's best to work with people who have more money than time, because they're willing to spend money to trade for time. And so if you can help them get an outcome faster, they're willing to pay you for that. And they're willing to pay a lot for that. And if you can help someone who makes $100 million a year solve a problem, it's worth a lot more to that person than if you're helping someone who's making $100,000 a year. So you do the same work, it may be the same effort on your part, because that person's just going to be easier to work with. It's just the nature of the beast. They don't have time to be problematic. The money is not that material to them. And so they're usually easier to work with. And so you work less and you deliver way more value to that person, even though it's the same that you do for them, but just because of the person that you're selling to, it's worth a lot more. So choosing the right dream client is really important. And part of that too is being very clear on what is the outcome that you're delivering for that person and what's the value to them of that. What's the impact in their lives, not just for them, but for their spouse and their kids and their parents and all their loved ones. And what does it mean to them, not just today, but in 5 years, in 10 years, in 30 years? And being clear on that and articulating that for yourself. The problem that I see a lot of coaches do is that they don't fully embrace and honor the value of what they're providing, because they have a small scarcity mindset or have issues with owning their worth or playing small in different ways. And I totally get that. I have that thing as well. But because they do that, they have a hard time seeing how valuable what they actually offer is to someone who is way higher up on the income scale than they are. The next part here is organic social is a non-negotiable in this day and age. It is something that every business needs to master. Organic social in one way, social media. It's really like the game has changed dramatically since TikTok entered the scene, where it used to be like email that you would gather followers and then you would post and then your followers would see that content. It doesn't work that way anymore. TikTok changed the landscape where now it's like you can have no followers or 7 followers and you post something and it gets 1 million views. So it's all about interest. It's really leveled the playing field for everybody to post to social media. And so you have to get in the game and decide to master the game of organic social. So that means a strong hook up front, thumbnails, captions, the words, the visuals, like maybe gimmicks sometimes, like whatever it takes to get people's attention and keep their attention and get that distribution. So the way it works is that you post something and then the algorithm that will show it to say 100 people, and depending on how those first 100 people respond to it, that will determine whether it gets wider distribution or not, right? If they watch the whole thing, they watch it over and over again, they comment, they like, whatever engagement they do, that is a signal to the algorithm that this is great content, and now it's going to send that content to a bunch of other people who are like the people who engaged with it. And if they ignore it and they scroll on to the next thing, then the algorithm is not. And this is pretty much how the algorithm works everywhere now, and more, because it's just what makes sense, right? People don't want to have to go through the hassle of finding people to follow and all that stuff. They just want content that they like showed to them. And that's what the platforms want, because that means that people stay on the platform longer, and that's what they want, the platforms want. So you got to commit to mastering organic social. And the name of the game there is simply creative, aka what you post, like the videos, the images, the carousels, the text posts, whatever it is, depending on the platform. Like TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, X, the big platforms that we all know, those are the platforms to be on. And what I'm seeing is that with the advent of AI and AI generated content, people want humans more than anything. They want real, they want raw, they want authentic. And so that's why I like to think of it as like the purpose of your content is to attract your soul tribe, those people who are out of the same sort of soul family that are your people. And the more that you put out stuff that's so like intensely you, just raw, authentically you, the more you let that life force energy that infuses you just get out there with your content, and the more the people who are for you are able to resonate with that and be like, yeah, this is for me. This is my kind of person. This is my kind of stuff. And so we want human stuff. We don't want AI bot stuff, right? We want the real shit. And so I think actually the whole AI revolution is a benefit to us, because people are going to be really fed up with all the regurgitated AI content stuff. And so when you're there and you're just raw and real and just who you are, then the right people are going to resonate with that. And it's okay to suck in the beginning. We all fucking sucked in the beginning. I started making video content in 2008. It's been a minute. And I'm still growing every week, every year, every month. I'm still getting better at this. So keep going and keep growing. Just never stop, and you will get better and you will master it. But you have to get in the game, and you have to commit that this is something that you want to master, that you need to master. And the reason a lot of people like paid, and paid is awesome, but the reason I like to go organic first is when you've got something that really works organically, which is you try shit, and it's not random, but you never know how it's going to perform. Like the same thing that killed on TikTok might completely bomb on Instagram or YouTube Shorts, or the other way around, or X or whatever. But once you found something that really crushed organically, chances are that if you put money behind that and then you just edit and add a call to action at the end, hey, here's a discount code, or go opt in here for this free download or whatever, then chances are it's going to work so much better because it's already tested, it's already vetted. So you need to be in the organic. That's number one. And then you can boost and amplify with paid once you find something that's actually working. Put yourself in situation where you can create content doing something that you love. All of my coaching calls are recorded. When I do training internally with my team, that's recorded. When I go on other people's podcasts, obviously that's recorded. And I record everything on 2 cameras. So I have one over here, and then I have another one right in front of me. So I have 2 angles on everything that I do. And so when I'm on a podcast, I record myself in HD or 4K on my own computer in 2 angles, as well as I'm with them, and I insist on getting the recording from the podcast host. All of that becomes content. And obviously, you can have your own podcast. I also sometimes have guests on my podcast. That's also content. You could also do things like hosting dinners and have someone come and record it, or invite people locally to an event. It's very cheap to run ads in a local geographic region to bring your kind of people to your house or a restaurant or whatever, and just have some young kid with a camera record the whole thing, put a mic on yourself, and then that's content as well. Then you hire some kid in former Soviet Union or wherever to go through that, or you use AI to go through that and find the clips that can be posted on social media. And obviously you can not use any of the clips that have like personal details and like any stuff that you don't want out there, but there's bound to be some great content. And now you're getting to double dip on this, right? You're both doing the thing, the dinner, the content, the podcast, whatever, the coaching, but you're also getting content out of it. So use all of that content. And I find that specifically both repurposing existing content and having specific creation time is important. For newer platforms, like for TikTok stuff, it really works best to create content specifically for that. For ads, it really works best to create content for ads. Even for long form YouTube like this or podcasts, I'm creating content specifically for that, but I'm doing so strategically and intentionally to build that audience, but also it gives me something to clip from, right? And it lets me do the next strategy here. So this is what I call, I got this from Taki Moore, who's phenomenal. If you're a coach, he's definitely worth looking at. So he calls it brand width. So it's bandwidth, but brand width. I don't know how we illustrate that, but maybe it's like this, brand width. So it's like it's the brand, it's you, but it's very wide. And the point here is what he found, or what one of his clients I think found, was that once people have spent like 47 minutes with you, with your content, then they're ready to buy on average. So then the question is, how can we speed up that process of getting them to spend more time with your brand, right? And the way that we can do that is you do like long form or medium form YouTube and podcast or whatever, and then you can nurture and retarget so that people who come into your universe for the first time, they get exposed to that content over the first 30 days in a well thought out sequence. No one can trust you. And so now they're more likely to actually buy from you in the first 30 days. So for example, they see your stuff on one of the platforms on Meta or YouTube or whatnot, and then you retarget them on that platform with other stuff. And then you also invite them to go to your website to opt into something where you can then pixel them from all of these platforms. And now you can retarget them on all the other platforms. So they came from YouTube, they go to your website. That could be from a paid ad, for example. They go to your website, they come to your website, there's a pixel from Meta, from Google, from TikTok, from LinkedIn, from like all of them. And now you can retarget them on all of those platforms, and it seems like you're freaking everywhere. It's like omnipresent, right? And then you have certain content that you show them. So you're like, all right, what do they need to know about me? What do they need to believe? What do they need to experience? How do I explain what I do? And so you have content pieces that address that. What are the typical objections to work with me? Then you have content pieces that address that. And you just build that into sort of a funnel that is like you're warming up, you're nurturing, your middle of the funnel content. And then you can have bottom of funnel pieces in there as well that you do either over email if they opted in, or retargeting, or both. That's get them into a conversation with you, because conversions happen in conversations. So we want to get into a conversation with people so that we can actually enroll them into our programs. And the final piece here is nurturing the nurture, not now buyers. So what that means is Dean Jackson made this really popular, this idea that of everybody who comes into your universe, say they get on your email list. But it could also be your social media following. I don't know if the same numbers hold true on a social media following because it's less commitment. But let's just say that they opt into your emails. They get a lead magnet of some sort. Now, half of those people are never going to buy from you. Just never going to happen. They're interested in your thing. They're never going to buy from you. That's fine. Let them go. Of the remaining, what Dean says, and I haven't done the math, I haven't checked these numbers myself, but that's what he says. The point is the same. The principle is the same. About 15% of those people, of the remaining 50, so 7.5 of the total, is going to be buy now, meaning in the first 30 to maybe 90 days, they're going to be at buy. They're ready to buy more or less now. They just need a little nudge or whatever. Some are like just going to buy instantly, but they're basically ready to buy. The 85% are not ready to buy now, but they will be in the next 2 years. So they're buy later. Those people, they're now in your universe. You want to keep nurturing them. You want to keep putting content in front of them that invites them to at some point be like, okay, I'm ready now. I've been thinking about this. I've been like, but now I'm ready. What is that? We want to have some content there. Part of that strategy can be retargeting on social, but it's probably better to be done over email. It doesn't cost you anything. And having some ongoing cadence where, say, once a week or maybe 3 times a week, you send out some content with a super signature is the term that Dean Jackson uses, which is basically, P.S., whenever you're ready, here's 3 ways that you can work with us, that we can help you. And then you just list like your different, like a lead magnet, a freebie that gets into conversation, or a webinar or workshop or something that will enroll them into your programs, and maybe a 3rd way, or just go buy it right now. That's a way that you can keep delivering value, and be top of mind for them. And then very gently just be like, hey, if you're ready to move forward, like here's what we can actually do. So you're on their radar. Yeah. So that's what I would do on the attract side of things. Now let's look at enroll. Enroll is really fun because it's actually very easy. Here, I'm going to just do this: attract, enroll, and transform. All right. Enroll these days is actually very easy. So enroll, we used to do all of these fancy funnels and like value ladders and like and sell like a $7 ding dong and then a $47 upsell, like order bump, and then like a $99 whatever, and then a $290 doodah whatever, and then we get them in, all that stuff. You can still do that. That totally works. It's not my cup of tea to do that personally because it feels like too much work. It's too complicated. So what I'm seeing that's working really well in the industry right now is sell by chat combined with an offer doc. So those 2 components, okay? So I'm going to break that down for you. Sell by chat and offer doc. Sell by chat is where you're just like, you're DMing people on Instagram or X, or it can be over text or email or Messenger or WhatsApp or whatever. You post something. So you have your regular social media, organic, and then you post something that's, hey, do you want my playbook for how to blah, blah? Then like comment below or DM me or whatever, and then I'll send it to you. So now they comment and then you DM them. In this case, it can be automated, or you can just hire someone, so like a cheap VA, to do it for you. I like to make it personal, but either way works. And then you're like, here's the thing. Do you mind if I ask you a few questions? Hey, what kind of business are you in? What are your health goals? Or how many kids do you have? How old are they? Whatever, some like easy question to get into a conversation. And there's a whole framework for how to do sell by chat, but it's essentially get in like super softball to get into a conversation. And this can be email, text, WhatsApp, it can be any freaking channel, but just ease into a conversation, a very low commitment question first, and then you qualify. Okay, do they have a problem? Do they have a problem I can help with? Do they have money to pay? Are they kind and responsive and willing to do something, take responsibility and take action? Are they coachable? Do they seem like good people? And then if they're qualified, you can see if they're interested in that. Then what you do, it used to be that you'd send them to a sales letter, a page that maybe it was like a funnel kind of thing, or you'd have to get them on a sales call, like or a Zoom call or something to enroll them into your programs. especially if it's higher ticket. Like it used to be, the rule of thumb used to be if it's like $3,000 or more, you have to get people on a sales call. That's not the case anymore. What I'm seeing is working for a lot of people now is that you just at when the time is right, when they're interested, you say, hey, let me send you what I got. Like you've qualified, maybe you have different levels, different offers. And so you figure out which they're right for. And then you just send them literally a Google Doc that is, here's the offer. And here's the big promise. Here's how the program works, like the logistics of the program. And here's how much it costs and like the details of the offer, basically. Things like, do we have a guarantee? Do we have bonuses? Do we have like scarcity and urgency? Do we have, what's the price? What are the different payment plan options that we have? Things of that nature. All of that in the doc. And then if you would like to join, just message me back on that same channel that we've been communicating on the whole time. Just say, I'm in. And then if they say I'm in, then you send them the payment link. So you get this verbal commitment first, and then you send the payment link. Because if you include the payment link in the doc, there's an extra point of friction there. So you just want them to go, yeah, I'm in. And then this principle from Robert Cialdini kicks in that's called commitment and consistency. So now they've committed, they've said, I'm in, low friction. Now you send them the payment link. Now they're much more likely to actually follow through and pay and join your program. Process is so simple. One of the big challenges with sales is that either you have to do it or you have to hire someone to do it. Hiring good salespeople is hard, and you got to really manage them well. You got to listen to all their calls and give them feedback on the calls, which means now you have to be an expert on sales, and you have to have enough lead volume to hire a salesperson. They need commission, and salespeople might promise stuff or not follow the script, and there's all this stuff that goes into that. But this is really simple, and the initial phases of qualification is pretty easy to script out and delegate to some, again, pretty cheap person that can live in a different country as long as they speak your language. And then you can take over for the closing. And again, it's totally async. And you might have somewhat, like the conversion rate might be somewhat lower because there's certain people who require a call in order to make that kind of commitment. But on the other hand, there are people like me who would never get on a call in the first place. So you're going to get some people who wouldn't convert without it, who wouldn't convert on a call. But the volume that you can get is much larger because it's easier to get into this, and like the friction of having to schedule a call and then make sure that they actually show up for the call, and you always have no shows, and then you have scheduling conflicts, and then it's going to be next Thursday, and then you lose all this momentum. So much easier to do it this way. Sell by chat, and then an offer doc that outlines the program, and then just a quick I'm in, and then you send the payment link, and then boom, they're in. So that is the way that I would absolutely design a coaching program in 2025 for easy enrollment. It is so simple and it works like gangbusters. People are selling $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, $60,000 programs this way. And the way that it works is that you build that relationship with your organic content and the brand width and all of that. And one of the great things that you can do too on the attract side that we didn't discuss, because it's not core, is stages. So stages is where you get on other people's stages. Can be podcasts, can be physical stages, can be virtual stages, whatnot. What's great about stages is that the host of the stage has already a relationship and authority and credibility with the audience. And now they're gonna transfer that credibility, that relationship onto you by inviting you on the stage. And so now if you have a great presence there and deliver great value, and maybe you have a way to get people to just, hey, follow me. I have this thing that I can give you guys. Would that be useful? Great. Yeah, just go follow me on Instagram, for example. Instagram has a great messaging platform, and DM me this keyword, and then I'll send it to you. And now you're in conversation with those people on Instagram, right? So you're getting them all to follow you on Instagram, and now you have a conversation with them, and then you do sell by chat from there. In general, you want to open with every single person who follows you, even every person who likes your content. You want to open a conversation with them like, hey, saw you followed me, saw you liked my post. Are you here for the vids, or are you looking to get help with your weight loss or your whatever it is that you coach people with? So you open those conversations, and that's how you get into a sell by chat. So it's just about opening conversations all over the place, all of the time. And if people are not interested, that's fine. But the people who are interested and are swimming towards you, those are the people that you engage with and that you then enroll into your programs. And the beautiful thing about stages is that it jumpstarts that relationship, because now they've already experienced you, and that the relationship from the host of the stage transfers onto you. It's a beautiful thing to do. You can do it with podcasts. So you got to be a little bit selective about which podcasts have an audience that's big enough and relevant enough for you to do it. But in the beginning, it's great to do a bunch of small podcasts just to get in the habit of it, just to train it. All right, final piece here is the transform. And the two things I want to say about that is product. So what's the container, if you will? We can say product / container. What is the container for your coaching program? And the mistake that I see most coaches make is that they do a lot of one-on-one, which is just not scalable. It's going to burn you out. Or then they do group programs, but it's like, all right, we start 3 months. It starts in whatever, February, January, whatever it is. And we go for 12 months and 12 weeks or 3 months or whatever. And by the way, you can't enroll then again until April or whenever. And it's just not a good way to do business. You want to have recurring revenue as much as possible. Recurring revenue is the name of the game. If you don't have recurring revenue, you start over from zero every time. My business, Simplero, is a recurring revenue business. Every month, we make pretty much the same amount of money as we made last month, plus a little bit extra. Recurring revenue is awesome. Think about it as the term for what I do here is software as a service, SaaS, AAS, software as a service. But if you think about it as success as a service, right? You're really delivering an outcome, a successful outcome for people as a service. People want the outcome. And especially if you want to find out a way to make this like an evergreen kind of thing for them. Health is evergreen. Business is evergreen. You're always going to do more business. If it's a wedding thing, then there's a deadline to it. It's finite. If it's a newborn thing, then it's finite. But ideally, we want to make it a parenting thing or a business thing or something that lasts a long time and make it evergreen so people can join anytime. You can have a monthly onboarding thing and you onboard people once a month, but I prefer just having people enroll every single day, every single week, and just they start where they start. And then it's recurring forever. I like to have an annual commitment, or you can do the thing where it's $8,000 for a year or $6,000 for half a year or $1,500 for a month. And then people can, it's way cheaper if you go for the whole year, but people can get their feet wet. If they're scared of the investment, they can do a month for $1,500. And then maybe if they upgrade to annual within the first 2 months, they get to credit that towards the annual, right? So that's a great way to do it, where people can enroll anytime, and you want to get people in for the year, and then you want to get people renewing after the year. So you want to make sure that you have a process to renew people that kicks in a few months before their year is up, to be like, hey, reflect on all the progress you made this year and how that's going to continue in the next year. You don't want to lose out on this. Let's keep going. And group coaching is the name of the game. I see a lot of people who want to do courses and not be involved in coaching at all. And you can totally do that, but it's limited how much you can charge for that. One-on-one coaching, too much work, and actually the value to the clients is oftentimes lower. Group coaching is very effective because you get the benefit of all the other people in the group, and they're often going to ask questions that you didn't think to ask. And so it's going to get stuff out of you that wouldn't come out in a one-on-one. So group is freaking awesome. It's great for you, obviously, because you can do a 90-minute coaching call once a week where you teach some kind of framework in the first 20, 30 minutes, and then you do open Q&A coaching in the remainder. And so in 90 minutes a week, you're delivering all the content. All the replays are there, and that becomes now the core curriculum. So everybody who joins has access to all the replays. So tons of value. The way I would structure it is that there is a cadence. Is what I've seen is some people do, it's marketing 1 week, sales the next week, and then maybe it's like delivery or systems or whatever. So there's like a 4-week cycle. Or you could do something like, for me, I'm very much focused on simple outer work, like your structures, your systems, your strategies, and then simple inner work, like what is the limiting beliefs, the mindset blocks, whatever that we need to overcome. So it could be like outer, inner. So one week we do like how to construct a really effective guarantee, or how to put together an offer, or how to do sell by chat, or how to open conversations, or whatever. And the next week we do some like mindset belief, like emotional feeling, whatever, that is going to expand you as the founder, like law of the lid, right? You as the founder is the limit to your business. So let's expand that. Let's raise the lid. So some sort of cadence like that, so that you make sure that you cover. So the basis, you're like, these are the four corners of my coaching these are the 2, 3, 4, 5 pillars, and you kind of cycle through them. And then finally, there is the community. So you offer people a community alongside the content. So they meet on the calls so they know who each other is. And then they meet in the community in between the calls, and they can ask questions. And if you have team, you can have your team be in there and answer questions. You can be in there, obviously, if you want to. But mainly they can really support each other. And just keep it super simple. Like, you can do more. You can do like accountability stuff. You can do subgroups. You can have extra calls and other stuff, but you really don't need to. Keep it simple here. And you can also cycle through, teach something, and then next week we do it, and then we hear from someone who's successful with it, and then we mastermind. And that's the monthly cycle. That's another model that I've seen that works well. There are many different ways to cut this. The point is, evergreen, MRR, group coaching format, get in the game and see what works, and then you can always tweak it. Like, I've learned so much over the course of me being in the coaching business. Like, I'm always getting better, and that's how it should be, and that's how it's going to be for you as well. And the final piece on the product side, or on the transform side, is your framework. Your framework. So you want to have a clear framework for how you work, right? What work you're doing with people. So like outer, inner. In my case, I have something that I call Simplero OS, where we like the model of attract, enroll, and transform is part of the Simplero OS. I have a Simplero UOS, which is all about your mindset and your inner wiring, the inner work. I've got a Simplero Team OS, which is all about how you organize, how you attract and hire, how you grow, how you lead your team members. So I have these different frameworks for different parts of the business. I've got my Simplero Health OS, which is all about how you manage your body. It's part of the Simplero UOS. So I've got a bunch of different frameworks that are relevant in different contexts. So for your coaching program, you want to have a framework that's like the 3 to 5 core pillars that have 3 to 5 elements within each one of them. And that's the totality of it. And you want to have that be a visual model that is like how this stuff works. And so everything that you do is tying into that model. It's what you're going to use when you attract people. You're going to use it when you enroll people, and you're going to use it during the transform phase as well. So we want to have that framework defined. So that, my friends, this is what it looks like. This is how I would do a coaching business in 2025. If you do this, you're going to have a killer fucking business. You really are. This is the simplest, cleanest way that I'm aware of to do a coaching business. This is based on what I've seen people do, study. This is what I've been working on myself for a bit. And I'm not executing all of this perfectly by far, but this is exactly where I'm going with my coaching business in 2025. And based on everything I've seen, this is the way to do it. If you know someone who's a coach, send them this video if it's useful for them to build a coaching business or strengthen their coaching business in 2025. This is the way. If you have better ideas, share them with me in the comments. I want to see. There might be stuff that I'm missing, but I've seen a lot. I thought about this a lot, and I think this is, like I said, the way to go. All right, my friends, I will catch you next time. See ya.